Hey, everybody. I would like to share a strange but true story from the Old West. This is my great great grandmother, Electa Elvira Webb. She was born in 1862 in the Utah Territory and married my great great grandfather, Josiah Nichols. This is one of her stories. In the mid 1880s, an interesting experience began south of the present Otter Creek Reservoir, where the Josiah Nichols family lived in a ravine. The story is told by Vera Moore Jolly as she heard it. Mr. Nichols was out riding the range, and his wife Electy was there alone for a couple of days. This one night, late in the evening, she heard a disturbance down at the corral, and a calf hollered. Thinking it might be a wild animal that had strayed into the corral, she didn't dare go see what it was, so she kept her door locked and barricaded. After a while, she heard footsteps, someone walking around the house. Someone pushed on the door, but finding it locked, the steps continued around the house and left. The next morning, she went out to look around to see if she could discover what the commotion had been the night before. As she walked down to the corral, one of their large calves was lying dead in the corral, and one hind quarter had been removed. When she got back to the house, she also missed her riding skirt, which had been hanging on a nail at the end of the cabin. At about this same time, a man named Frank Henry Wilcox and his daughter Kate Effie were on their way to Fillmore. When they were going down through Kingston Canyon with team and wagon, they saw a man running down a hill toward the road. He was swinging his arms and shouting. As he came nearer, Mr. Wilcox pulled on the lines to stop the team. By this time, the man was nearly to the wagon, still waving his arms and shouting. They couldn't understand what he was saying, but Kate, taking one look at this raving person, grabbed the lines, whipped and hit the horses, which took out on a run just before the man got to the wagon. Kate described him as a wild and dirty and ragged man with long black hair and beard. Several other people saw this frightening man, so a posse rode out looking for him. It was some days later when they discovered a cave where someone was living, so they waited. After a while, they saw him coming. They stayed out of sight until he'd entered the cave. Then they were able to overpower him and took him to Junction and turned him over to the sheriff, who took him to the insane asylum at Provo, as it was called in those days. When he was caught, he had Mrs. Nichols' riding skirt on his feet as moccasins. I found this story some years ago in a history book in a local library, and I've since posted it online at familysearch.org. Most all of us have some extra time in front of our computer these days, and if that's you, you might want to check out familysearch.org. You can locate your family tree, and each person on that tree will have a page where you might find pictures, stories, and other memories of that person. There's no telling what you might find. You might also want to post some of your own memories, pictures, or thoughts that can then be found by extended family members.